Friends, I hear you. Life is crazy busy. How many of you wish you had more time? We are living in an age where it's the cult of busy. We pack our schedules in, we pack all our activities from dawn to dusk, and it leads to anxiety and suffering of our health, wealth and well-being. What I've seen is that being busy prevents me from having time with God, having a relationship with Him. And what I love about Jesus is that He wants to have a relationship with me. In the Bible, we read that we're not just a number. We're not just, people that He grants sort of ready-made wishes to. He wants to know us. When He healed the woman who'd been bleeding for years, she touched His cloak and she was immediately healed. But when He healed her, He didn't just walk by. Jesus stopped and asked who the woman was. He wanted to know this woman. And in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, Moses was busy. We see that, don't we? He's suddenly thrown into this big gig of guiding the freed people of Israelites. And these people are on a journey. They need direction, they need a guide, and they need God. But what does Moses do first? He spends 40 days and 40 nights with God. And whilst he's gone, the people of God have turned back to their old ways. They've built a calf and they're starting to worship it. And it all seems to be going wrong. There's this national crisis. What is Moses going to do? Well, Moses takes a tent, a normal tent, and he pitches it outside the camp some distance away, and he calls it the tent of meeting. Moses, whenever he goes into that tent of meeting, people know that he's spending time with God. Pete Greig says that when we make space for God to speak, He does. So long before I became a Christian, I began to pray. We can engage with God and know God before we become a Christian. Moses had his pattern and he goes into his tent to seek the Lord. Moses is reminding us and his people that spending time with God is his priority. Susanna Wesley, an amazing lady, raised 17 children, so busyness was her maiden name. Early in her life, she vowed that she would never spend more time in leisure entertainment than she did in prayer and Bible study. Her time of meeting with God, would you believe, was when she threw a blanket over her head, and her 17 children knew not to disturb her as she was in her time with Jesus. Susanna passed away in 1742 at the age of 73, enough to see her sons John and Charles Wesley become world-renowned leaders of the global Christian movement. That is her legacy, forged in large part in those diligent hours of intercession under that makeshift apron blanket. So for Susanna, there was no amount of distraction that could keep her from prayer and Bible study. That kind of life is deeply rooted, produces great fruit, as evidenced not only by the people who came to hear her teach, but by the children she influenced. The great truth in her story is that prayer does not occupy the sort of side stage, it occupies the main stage of activity. So friends, where is your place of communing with God? And it will be as unique as you are. Okay, I love to run, so when I spend time running, I'm spending time connecting with God. And so I ask you, how can you make that priority in your life, that place to humbly pray and listen? And if you can ask God, I am struggling, Lord, with busyness. How can I make time with you a priority? I'm sure God will speak to you. So what difference will praying make to your life, to your spouse, to your children, to your neighbors, to your carers?